What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome back to the channel, your go-to spot for everything Buffalo Bills, where we break down the moves, the rumors, and the real story straight from one Bills drive. Listen, we know the mission is clear. Get better, get tougher. Bring that Lombardi to Buffalo. And that's exactly what this team is working on every single day. Whether it's big trades, draft picks, or those gritty role players who do the dirty work that makes champions. Now, real quick before we dive deep into today's news, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss any exclusive Bills content. You're not gonna want to miss a second this offseason. Alright, today we're talking about a pick that's getting some hate nationally, but could actually be way more important than people realize. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills' 5th round selection, tight end Jackson Hawes out of Georgia Tech. With the 173rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Bills selected Jackson Hawes, a big, tough, no-nonsense tight end who's being labeled by some experts as the best blocking tight end in this year's class. Now, on the surface, it doesn't sound flashy, right? He's not a Dalton Kincaid type receiver. He's not a matchup nightmare down the seam. He's a blocker, pure and simple. But sometimes, Bills Mafia, you win games in the trenches. Sometimes it's about helping Josh Allen stay upright and creating running lanes for James Cook. And that's exactly why the Bills pulled the trigger on Hawes. But not everybody is impressed. Bleacher Report's Brent Sobleski gave the pick a C grade, saying the Buffalo Bills wanted a blocking tight end, and they landed the best one with the 173rd overall pick. Georgia Tech's Jackson Hawes won't provide a lot as a receiver, but he's going to do his job and do it very well, which is the dirty work at a position where doing so doesn't hold much value. Ouch. Look, I get it. It's not the sexiest pick. You're not going to see Jackson Hawes on your fantasy football roster this year. But you know what? Blocking still matters, especially when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen and a running back like James Cook who thrive when given just a little more time and space. Now, let's dive into Hawes' story, because this guy didn't take the easy route to the NFL. He started his college career at Yale, dominating Ivy League competition, then bet on himself, transferring to Georgia Tech to prove he could hang with Power 5 talent. And guess what? He didn't just hang. He thrived as a blocking specialist, paving the way for Georgia Tech's best rushing season in years. That says a lot about his work ethic, his toughness, and his willingness to do the thankless jobs that winning teams need. So where does Hawes fit in Buffalo? Right now, the tight end room looks like this. Dalton Kincaid, the future star, dynamic receiver, mismatch weapon. Dawson Knox, veteran, red zone threat, solid blocker, but expensive. Zach Davidson, depth and special teams guy. Hawes is expected to compete for a special teams role immediately. That's the entry point, but don't be surprised if he carves out some snaps in heavy packages. Think goal line situations, 3rd and 1s, or when Buffalo needs to control the clock late in games. And here's the kicker. Dawson Knox's contract becomes very cuttable next offseason. If Knox becomes a cap casualty in 2026, Jackson Hawes could find himself as the primary blocking tight end behind Kincaid. Talk about playing the long game. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture, Josh. Allen is the franchise. Protecting him has to be priority number 1. Last year, the Bills were better on the offensive line, but there were still too many moments where the protection collapsed late in games. Adding another blocking specialist to chip defenders, secure the edge, and support the running game makes a ton of sense. Plus, the AFC East isn't getting any easier. We're talking about facing guys like Matthew Judon, Jalen Phillips, Quinnen Williams, and Bradley Chubb twice a year. You need players who embrace the grind and neutralize pass rushers. That's exactly what Jackson Hawes is built to do. Zooming out even more, let's look at the full Bills draft haul. Maxwell Hairston, CB. Fast, aggressive outside corner. TJ Sanders, DT. Interior defensive lineman with upside. Landon Jackson. DE. Big-bodied edge presence. Deone Walker. DT. Another stout interior defender. Jordan Hancock, DB, versatile defensive back. Jackson Hawes, TE, best blocking tight end. Dorian Strong, CB, another coverage weapon. Chase Lunt, OT, depth at tackle. Caden Prather, WR, big physical receiver. Notice the trend? Physicality, toughness, speed. Brandon Beane didn't chase flash this year. He went after football players who can fill key roles, push veterans, and strengthen the bottom half of the roster. That's how you build a championship team. Not just with stars, but with soldiers who can step up when it matters most. So, Bills Mafia, here's my take. Did Jackson Hawes get a low draft grade? Yeah, does that matter in the big picture? Not even a little bit. We're talking about a guy who could quietly help this offense reach another level, and he could be around longer than people think. Blocking tight ends don't make headlines, but they do win playoff games. All right, let's talk about one of the newest faces coming to One Bills Drive. Defensive tackle TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. And Bills fans, this kid brings the heat. Brandon Beane clearly had a vision when he started stacking up this draft class heavy on defense. And it all kicked off on night 2 when Buffalo moved up 15 spots from number 56 to number 41 to snatch Sanders off the board. A bold move, and honestly, when you hear what this guy is about, you'll understand why. Host, animated, passionate, TJ Sanders describes himself as a violent, twitchy player. And folks, he backs it up. His tape shows a defensive tackle who plays fast, explosive, and relentless. We're talking about a guy who is just pure chaos for offensive lines, strong hands, quick feet, and a motor that never quits. Sacks and 17.5 tackles for loss at South Carolina. And the way he attacked each play caught the eye of none other than Brandon Beane himself, who said he's seen TJ live 3 or 4 times and that Sanders stood out every time on tape. High praise, right? And you gotta love what Sanders said about himself. I bring a high motor, a guy who gets after it every snap. Someone who doesn't quit on plays, doesn't quit on games. No matter the score, I'm always going 100%. Bills fans, that is the kind of attitude we love here in Buffalo. Grit, heart, never giving up. Doesn't that just feel like a perfect fit for this city? Beane talked about Sanders primarily being a key 3-technique guy, meaning he'll line up between the guard and tackle, shooting gaps, disrupting plays, and hunting quarterbacks. But Beane also left the door open for Sanders to slide over to the 1-technique spot if needed. Versatility, baby. Imagine him pairing with Ed Oliver on passing downs. Ooh, quarterbacks are not going to be sleeping easy before facing us. I promise you that. Host, enthusiastic. But here's where it gets even more exciting. Sanders' potential is through the roof. Did you know he only started taking football seriously his junior year of high school? That's right. He was a late bloomer with only about 6 true seasons of football experience under his belt. And yet he's already playing at this high of a level. That's insane. He originally was a basketball player, all-state by the way, averaging 18 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game. That background gives him elite footwork, great lateral movement, and body control that most big guys just don't have. You can literally see it in his game. That quick first step, that ability to slide into gaps like he's crossing over a defender in basketball. It's special. And that's exactly why Beane said he's still growing, still ascending. There's a lot in there we can pull out with pro coaching. In other words, Bills Mafia, what we're seeing right now from TJ Sanders, is just the beginning. Imagine where he could be after a couple years working with our coaching staff, learning from veterans, playing next to guys like Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones. And let's not forget how Sanders is part of an overall draft strategy that was laser focused on beefing up this defense. Our first 5 picks were defensive players. Beane and McDermott are sending a clear message. They're building a wall on that side of the ball. And Sanders knows it too. When he heard about the defensive heavy picks, he said, "We're trying to make sure defense is one of our best areas on the team. We all got one ultimate goal." Love that mindset. Compete hard, push each other, build something special, and get this. Sanders already has a connection with another Bills rookie, Deone Walker, the monster DT from Kentucky. They built a bond at the Senior Bowl and the Combine, and when Sanders found out Walker was drafted by the Bills too, he immediately FaceTimed him from the facility saying it was crazy how life works. Man, you gotta love the energy between these 2 young studs already. It's the start of something special. Imagine Sanders and Walker anchoring our defensive line for the next decade. Chills. Buffalo's defensive line is getting younger, faster, and hungrier. 6 new defensive linemen on the roster, and 6 of them are guys with 2 years or less of NFL experience. This team isn't just reloading, they're laying the foundation for a defensive powerhouse that can dominate for years. It's a youth movement, and TJ Sanders is right at the heart of it. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Jackson Hawes was a smart pick at 173? Would you have preferred another offensive weapon or a flashier name? How do you feel about the Bills' full 2025 draft class? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm responding to as many as I can. And trust me, you guys always have the best takes in Bills Mafia. And hey, before you head out, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. We're just getting started. This offseason, from rookie minicamp to preseason battles to roster cuts, I'll have you covered every step of the way. Thanks for hanging with me today. Bills fans, stay loud, stay proud, and as always, go Bills!